Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode, a conversation. And today we have a very special conversation. It's all about the Silva Method of self-mind control and how you can use the tools in business, in sales, to scale up, to improve your relationships, to attract your ideal client, to manage sensitive negotiations or conflict that might be there. Please stay tuned, stay to the end. This is going to be a long video, up to 30 minutes to an hour. And our guest today, very special, perfect for the job. And I've also asked him, we want to take a look at making decisions, how to use your intuition to make better, wiser decisions. It's perhaps the best investment you could ever make in your life. And today, our guest is, as you know, first, excuse me, let me introduce myself, Case. My name is Ken Coscia. I serve as the training director here in the United States, formerly the international, meaning for the globally training director. I'm the guy Jose Silva selected in 1984 to give advanced program, excuse me. It's still such a joyful memory, such an opportunity because it was just him and me and two other key people doing these prime events. I also started 71. So over all these decades, I have met so many people from all over the world, so many colleagues, instructors. And today our guest, Ashil Combat, and correct me, I always have a little difficulty
You're good.
pronouncing your name. My apologies, my friend. And as I've gotten to know this individual, this man, I'm just moving some things because I have to admit, Ashil, I didn't pay close attention to your bio. We are blessed to have this man in our organization as a colleague, as an instructor, because he more than, I have to say, certainly most instructors who are active nowadays, has a whole history in running successful business. May I just give you a little bit of a sense? Yes, he's a certified Silva instructor. He offers classes in Northern North Carolina. He's also going to be offering classes in his home country in Africa, and I'll let him mention that. He also offers, he'll correct it, he'll go on
Yes.
where he is, but he is a co-founder of a business called We Equip and a visionary leader. He was invited by the U.S. Department of State, I didn't know that, Ashil, under a prestigious cultural and professional exchange program. He's got a profound commitment to integrating cutting edge technology with human intuition. If you've done any research, university level, otherwise, all the research shows we're not just, higher thinking, objective, logic and analysis, but we also are intuitive beings. And when you can merge the two together, you're that much ahead of the game, that much more effective. I'm excited. I'm excited. You guys watching ought to be too. Ishil has also empowered countless organizations, individuals with innovative strategies. His even his childhood offered a unique opportunity to explore intuition, his imagination, etc. He's also the author of, again, I didn't know. I should pay more attention to your bio. This is a little bit embarrassing, my friend. 4 books and co-creative, I hope I'm saying right, Kobe Yee, Growth Framework, he'll correct me.
Yes.
It's a unique approach to business growth. He marries intuitive forces with strategic execution. I'm reading the bio because I asked him to send me a short version because I've got one that's almost 4 pages, with this. And it goes on. He's also certified in Silva techniques and in conation across African regions and North America, etc. And I could go on, and I won't. And Ashil, welcome to our call. I appreciate you, man, for making the time to be here with me in our conversation. So everybody, please welcome Silva Method instructor and business.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for the invite. It's always a pleasure to be able, to talk to you and share time with your audience.
This is great. So I think maybe it might be good if you just can briefly, I know you got a long, rich history, is maybe how you found the Silva Method. What led you to it? If I remember correctly, you might have a unique story. I know you may have many stories. The one that comes to your mind first that you feel was the most unique or most interesting.
I think, as you mentioned in the bio, when the U.S. Department of State invited me, I was exposed in my childhood to, this intuitive part of us, right? I'm not going to go too much into that, which allowed me to actually grow, professionally into business development and technology. When they invited me, I was curious to just, understand how my work, never went out of my country. As you mentioned, I'm from West Africa. Never went out of the country, but how my work there was actually impressive for them to invite me to come in. So I started doing research on intuition, intuitive development. And everything I saw at that time, nothing was, again, going back to intuition. I was looking for something that would be in harmony, okay, with me and what I've done. That's how I came across, Jose Silva work. And the differentiator was how he started his research on children. Because again, it related to me, looking back to my childhood and all that. So that's how, I came across his research and, it just the man has just picked. And I was telling you even from day one that my goal is to be able to actually be an instructor to help more people, if you recall that.
I do actually. That's very interesting. He took the immersion with me. We now call, used to be called the Basic Lecture Series. 2007, if you don't know our history, we upgraded, rebranded, and most everybody on the planet, because we're in 100 plus countries,
Yes.
upgraded. And that was my job, traveling the world, helping them to learn the new material. So we added some of Jose's advanced material and still Jose's research, still Jose's program, still everything that we know works and following, just shifted some things around. And we now call it Silva Life and Intuition System. So anyway, Ashil's there with me in person. I think we just were getting back to in person after COVID. And he's right. He's a tall dude, by the way. You can't tell him sitting. And he came up and he was so positive and so strong. I didn't know him, from Adam. He was a new student in there. And we even had a challenge came up. Somebody showed up who wanted to
Yes.
be there, but wasn't appropriate for him to be there. And I'm not going to go into details. And again, I don't know him. He's not even a grad. And he befriended me and spoke to me and said some things that really resonated. Like he affirmed, because I'm thinking, well, maybe I could help this person. And he said no with that. And it turned out he was correct as I investigated more. So it's interesting right from the beginning. But what you said about your childhood and reading here a little bit, here in the US, it's changing, I hope. But our Western culture is very different. I've traveled throughout all the Eastern Bloc countries, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, the Pacific, Moscow, Latvia, Lithuania, you name it, Hungary, let alone Western Europe. And I got to say, the Eastern Europeans seem to be, in other countries, way ahead of America because we were told, oh, grow up. If you can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, it's not real. So
All
here he
right.
is he's saying, as a kid, he was encouraged to use his intuition to work with that. I wasn't. I come from a dogmatic background. So it makes sense that you were attracted to Jose's work because he started with the kids in active love in 1944. And by the way, I got to add one other thing. I also, since I had no background in this, I was engineering, chemistry, started reading everything I could find about intuition. A lot of really cool people, a lot of beautiful human beings, really wonderful, inspiring stories. But they fell short of telling me how to develop it, how to use it. And that's a big distinction with the Silva Method. We are an intuition training. So going back to you, Ashil, as you started learning the Silva tools, can you share any of the techniques that are part of the program that you began to work with to help you, for example, maybe work with your staff better or your team to get your point across, or it could even be customers and or vendors.
Yes, definitely, Ken. I think the counselor is a very powerful tool, again, combining that, to my childhood. And I wanted to make a quick note. I think the challenge you mentioned, even here in the US, is not, there's still, even during the time I was growing, right? There's still people who are against that. And I actually learned it the hard way because I was not accepted easily. Everything you just said, people see you as a weirdo or, you don't know what you're doing, grow up and all that. But again, we're not going to, focus on that. So I was going always at that time. I didn't call their counselors because I grew up. The high school I went was a Catholic school, and one of actually the priest was a lot into helping us develop our intuitive forces, right? And he always I learned from him the power of the silence. He always sent me in the garden when I come to him with problem. He never positioned himself as giving me advices or something, right? He listened to me and he said, you know what, take a walk, just go walk under the at the garden or quiet places. There are many trees, right, on the campus. So I used to do that, and always my counselor were always, always, Mother Mary and Jesus. Okay, that's how I started. And sometimes I just stay there, I fall asleep, but I woke up with a guidance. So counselors in business have been very powerful for me because in any situation, I just go to level, I invite them. They don't need to be the expert in the field, but they will guide me toward what can be actually the alternative or the solution. So for the team, as we're building businesses, we're building people actually, right, around us and all that, I have to really use the counselors too, right, to be able to actually show me things that I cannot see. I was glad you mentioned, our encounter at the beginning, right, at your immersion, because this guy, I was just feeling something. I just went to level before even the training. Right now, I can say I went to level. I spoke and they're like, helping him out, tell him it's not the right thing. I'm like, okay. And I play stupid when it comes to my counselors because I know nothing. I'm going to just do what you say. So in business, working with the team and all that, yes, the counselors are very, very powerful. I may add a couple of ones, but I think that's the one that I will position really like very helpful, very, very helpful.
May I add something? For those of you who are watching, and thank you, if you're not familiar with the Silva training, haven't read one of the books or something like that, it's a concept we have called the laboratory and counselors. And it's a tool to facilitate the flow of information. So it's a concept. We use our imagination. So it's like having your own geniuses guiding. We call them counselors. Similar to Napoleon Hill, what he wrote in his book, Think and Grow Rich, what Andrew Carnegie used to do.
That's right.
Had his imaginary board of directors. And what I would add is, I'm so glad because there are two things that led to the development of the coursework. Silva started with an active of his children and what we call the three fingers technique and accelerated learning, which is how I got involved. I was flunking out of college and using this tool and the accelerated learning that we teach in day 2 of the immersion. I graduated cum laude. I became the youngest instructor on the planet while I was still a full-time student. But the children started having what seemed to be psychic experiences. Ashil mentioned the term level. We lower our brain waves, you see the chart behind me, into alpha and theta, which is typically sleep, but now we know it's a meditative state. It's a daydream state. And this is what they started reporting. And they thought, I must be onto something of more value than memory. And that led him to research in things like absent healing, and it led him to things about what we now call the counselors. It's another whole topic in and of itself. It's fascinating that we tell in the class. But I too have found that too, that it's phenomenal. It's almost bizarre how we can be guided. And that priest in your childhood, wow, he told you go for a walk.
That's right.
Take a nap. And one of the ways to activate intuition is you've heard business people, let me sleep on that. Or you walk in nature.
That's right. That's right.
Or you meditate. And this is what he was guiding him to do. And this is what Jose Silva, he said, I didn't do anything new. He just basically looked at what was working. He looked for universal truths and put them together.
That's right. Which is one thing that I truly appreciate from his research, because these are things he just reinforced, that we're born with them, we die with them. We just need to develop them. And actually, with all Silva Instructor, it's been our mission, right? how can we assist people to develop that? And in my case, to help business owners know that it's not just something reserved when we have problem or issues or personal issues. Even the business that we're building, we can apply those tools because again, you and I know before the business was created, it was an idea. It was in the subjective dimension, right? Which we call the area that we cannot touch, right? Why now when we're building it, we're not going to continue using subjective tools?
Excellent. Wow. Exactly. And if Jose Silva were here, and you probably tell your students, as I do, you have everything you need. You bring everything you need into this class. What we're going to do for you is teach you a systematic step-by-step approach for you to bring out your, dare I say, your genius like a
Your genius, right? Right.
mother. And if I may just add too, the counselors in the laboratory, since you brought that up, are looked at in very different ways by people. For some, it's a deep moving spiritual experience.
Mhm.
For some, it's a personification of our higher self, of a way to tune into our authentic self. It's a way to remove, because oftentimes logic is very demanding. And we need that. And scientists, we need scientists. They say, show me the money, show me the empirical evidence. But we don't always have empirical evidence yet for that idea that's just purely subjective. And just about, I would challenge you, not you, Kashil, but
Of course.
just about every innovation, medical breakthrough, you name it, on this planet first started with an idea. And
Yes.
often they're told, are you kidding me? Stick to what you know, no way. And then they work for years sometimes
Yep.
to make it objectively reality. And this is
Mhm.
what I hear you referring to.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep. And I think I like how you bring in the science and the statistic around, right? You take people from Einstein, right? Steve Jobs, Tesla, right? They will tell you how most of their work came from that subjective dimension. Most of the work came from them understanding how to leverage, right? On tap into those intuitive forces. Otherwise, Einstein should have all his kid if it was just through genes or whatever, right? He will have all his kid geniuses, right? But none of them actually exist right now who can actually do the thing at the level of their father, right? So yes, in business, I think for me, counselors have been a really a hold or a strong hold, right, to help me navigate through situation, even with the team.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just thinking out loud for a moment what we say about subjective thoughts. We go on. When I first started in Silva 71, I was teaching, training, working with really literally the best of the best, the people who put the Silva method on the planet. They were really sharp business people. They didn't last long because they thought very differently, but they brought that business sense. So I was in New York City, Manhattan, in Brooklyn, which is where I took the class, Rhode Island, all throughout New England, and then of course in Boston. And I go back and forth. But I met Dr. Almond Bose, the founder of Bose Corporation. And Dr. Bose did the training, not with me, I wish, with my director. And then we were offering programs. My director did the programs they're still there, Framingham. I don't recall the timing, but it was at least a few a year. And Dr. Bose would pay half of the fees because he found it was helping them to be more innovative, come up with
Yes.
ideas, the engineers to figure things out. And it was always funny working with the engineers because they say, how the heck does this work? And
Yes.
I don't know. I can't, but I know if you do this, this, and that, it'll help you to come up with an answer.
Yes, yes.
And
And to that though, if I may, you mentioned the books, right? One of the book, out there focusing on marketing, but leveraging on the human part of us. Okay, so innovation part of it, there is a chapter on innovation where we just simply put innovation approach into a matrix, right? In 4 lines, and there's the third line is you actually asking, what could I do for my client? That's where the Silva tool come very handy because now it's not you trying to figure out, no, you asking the universe, you asking, what could I do that I'm not doing now? Because I know already what are they doing and how that can benefit them. You will be surprised how ideas will just pop up and just take note. right? You're not there to challenge with logic and all that. So innovation wise, we use we use the Silva method a lot to help business owners create, to help actually engineers, because we are an IT company. We have a partnership with Google to help actually engineers leverage beyond the logic and everything they know on the intuitive part too. Yeah.
Whoa. I'm
Yes.
taking notes too, by the way. Yeah, but that's so cool what you said there, because it begins there, and when we can marry the two together, that's what makes it powerful.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
makes it powerful. And I had a thought that went through my head. It'll come back
Yes.
with respect to that, these subjective ideas.
Mhm.
Even Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, Robert Stiller, who was the founder of that, he's no longer involved with them, but he would bring Silva training there. He had then Sue Jameson, who was their instructor, who went through training with me, got certified by me, and when he was involved. They're not using it anymore because it was corporate, and and the board took over. But it's just fascinating how people come in with ideas, and that so often part of the creative problem solving is it begins with inspiration and idea,
Mhm.
and then we've got to let it incubate.
Yes.
Sleep, meditate on it, daydream on it, go for a walk in the forest or whatever. We'll go ride your bike, take a shower.
Take a shower.
And then, but what you said, that's really vitally important, by asking specific questions. That's
Yes.
the takeaway. You said, what can I do now that I haven't been doing to move the needle, to
Yes.
move this further, to serve my client better? And that's part of what Mr. Silva's contribution, a big part, is he structured age-old wisdom. And that's what we're known for. Like if you look at some of the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Mhm.
beautiful work. I study it too. It's not nearly as structured as the Silva Method
Yeah.
program. And that's a big distinction. Silva is very structured. And with that, you develop control and focus. You can turn it on, and it's not happenstance.
Mhm.
So part of our mission, if I can add what Ashil's talking about, is to be able to do that, not just as a fluke, but to be able to repeat it, to know what are the steps I can take. A question which I like to add is, having an idea, like I love holo viewing technique. I don't know about yourself.
I will come to that. I like that you
Okay, so
mentioned it.
let's do that too, and I'll just introduce it. It's a tool. It's truth be told, mirror the mind, which is the ultimate reframing technique, ultimate self-improvement technique, where we teach mental rehearsal. But one of the things we added in 2007 was based on Jose's advanced materials, what Ashio said so beautifully, guidance is what the problem is, excuse me, the challenge, current reality. Once we do that, we've acknowledged it. Then the focus is, here's my vision, here's the intention, what I want. Now, what steps can I take now to move the needle? Stuff like
Yeah.
that. Let
Yes.
me let you take.
And maybe before we go to Holoving, one example, maybe that will be practical on counselors. I have a contract with Bell Canada. It was in 2009, okay, where in the collection, right, receivable collection department, right, they were having challenges because as well as me, when it comes to collection, usually people are invited to be aggressive, right? Because they owe money, they need to pay this and all that. I'm like, no, human being are human being, right? We all have somewhere in us, that peaceful person that God created. Okay. So I approach it actually with the the counselors, approach technique, which I'm sure your audience, if again, you never took the immersion. There are many instructors out there. Ken has his session and all that. Just check out and come understand better how the counseling process actually works. So then I was with these people, and every time before I make a call, I actually go to level very quick. The more you master it is very quick, right? And I ask, what is the main issue behind this person not being to pay? Oh, you know what? And ideas just come, in your mind, right? So you don't want to resist, and I just go toward that. And I did that during the contract, helping them, and they end up wanting me to teach the other collectors how to actually approach it the same way. It was just funny. I'm like, okay, then there is something about us really tapping into, that dimension. I wanted just to put out, that example, more than 10, 15 years ago, which was, amazing and reinforced me to continue actually doing then what I do. No.
I think that's awesome, by the way. Thank you for bringing that up because what I hear you saying is we're all one. We're fellow human beings. We're all connected. And if we take it that approach, in fact, there have been a lot of psychological studies that real power is not brute strength and force.
Yes.
Real power comes with compassion, connecting, alignment, and you get much better progress. And what I hear you saying is you weren't doing it to manipulate. Fair is fair. They owe this money. It's overdue. So it's not like you were trying to get something that wasn't yours and manipulate them, but just getting through that and connecting. I know you're referring that with the counselors, but another application in Silva is what we call caseworking.
Mm-hmm.
We use it as a way to hone our skills, to develop what we call points of reference, evidence, so that our students get to the point where I know what I know.
Yes.
I know I can trust this because I've had all this evidence of when I messed up and I was off and when I was correct. And you begin to recognize the patterns. And it takes practice. It's not a quick fix.
Yes.
You apply the same thing
Yes.
in business with
Yes.
respect to understand another human being better,
Mm-hmm.
more compassion, and to work on their level, and you're more likely to be able to help them and assist them because they're probably even embarrassed that they owe so much.
That's right.
It's not a cool thing for them to owe like that, correct?
No, that's right. That's right. And for Bell Canada, it was a good
Mm.
because they always look to the bottom line, and doing that it helped them increase the bottom line because now from it you actually bringing out loyal clients too. Because once they start paying, they're not thinking about going somewhere else and all that.
And instead of going to a collection agency,
Yes,
that you only get 30% and they get most of it,
that's right.
actually getting more money. And
That's
then
right.
this credit gets messed up. So
Mhm.
it's a win-win for everybody.
The win-win. Yeah. Yes. And
I'm very,
the Holo viewing. Okay, go ahead, Ken.
well, just one last thing on this
Sure.
for that. I do my best to keep up with neuroscience.
Yes.
My background, and I get coached by Mark Robert Waldman from time to time. I read all their work, Dr. Andrew Newberg, and he partners. And I remember once having a conversation with him. This is before your time. And I brought him in. He was very gracious, very generous. And we had about 2 hours of a conversation over the phone with instructors, what to say, what not, if you want to be more science-based, so that you don't come across as woo-woo. And one of the things that at the time he was very concerned about was what Ashil's talking about. It's like closing your eyes, getting into meditative alpha state, and tuning in with this person. What would this person say? I mean, before an interview, I do this before I'm going to give a pitch, before you make a sales presentation, to connect with that person. What do they need to hear to know that I have to offer? Or what do I need to know about them to know if this is a good fit for us to work together? It works both ways.
Yes.
And I remember he was going, woo woo, you got to stop. And it was a few years past that on Facebook when he was more active. He's posted as a psychotherapist
Mm-hmm.
importance of mentally rehearsing delicate conversations, to sit down, close your eyes, a mindful deep breath,
Yes.
and imagine you're sitting there with that person, having the conversation, connecting with them.
Mm-hmm.
That was this close to write a comment, woo woo.
Right.
But I knew people would take it the wrong way. He would
Wrong way.
probably.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
did comment and said, by the way, we've been teaching that since 1966.
That's right. And I love how we are reminded everything has a season. I guess, it was not. They couldn't understand that. Now that the science can, with empirical research, it can back up all this. The old man, like you used to say, he got already insight on that.
Exactly. So what about holo viewing? Holo viewing ties in a sense, with laboratory and counselors, but it's just a very different aspect. Because in the
Yeah,
class, just to let people know, you
sure.
learn at least 17 different tools and techniques. And you
Mhm.
may not need to use all of them. It gives you a variety. And what it's really about is you exploring your human potential and how you can focus your human potential to take command of your life and navigate life with more grace, more ease, etc. And holo viewing, I saw you light up when I mentioned it. I'm happy. It's become one of my go-to techniques. So what can you add? How have you used holo viewing, or have you taught it to some in terms of business?
Okay, when it comes to holo viewing, like you mentioned already, and is much better, use when before you go to bed, right? Because that's where you really go just all the way to Delta flight, if I can use that
Yeah.
expression here. Okay, so is recommended to just do it at that time. So years ago, I remember it was in 2005, and I use it usually in tough cases where, you know. I choose the name Achille, here. It was a voluntarily chosen name, right? As a reminder, knowing the mythology, okay, Achilles heel, knowing the mythology to remind myself that as human being, we have to accept that we have some limitation. For me, there are no weaknesses. There are limitations where we need to let the universe help us. It's okay. So I really use holo viewing when I face those moments where I feel just limited, right? So back in 2005, I remember when the state of department reached out to me professionally. I got so many block roads. I couldn't understand. Everything was lined up. Officials were just so interested, and there was just some roadblock I couldn't understand. So again, you just, for me, it was like, praying, but holo viewing to bring holo viewing in perspective here, right? So you go to level that moment where, you actually present the situation, then you analyze the situation, you don't spend too much time on it. Now you let your desire, deep desire that you have come out, and whatever else you're not seeing out of this to come, and the powerful part is you let it alone. Just leave it there. Don't even worry thinking about it. I think as human being impatient, right? We tend to try to now just the next day, oh, we start like trying to think and find the solution. So why did you go for help at that point? That's why I really use it when I feel in business deals and all that limited. And can you imagine that the following year, so it took almost a year for me actually to get the answer that I already received when I did the holo viewing 3 days after, maybe 4 days. I can't give specific, but with the Silva technique, you are invited, is recommended to give 3 days, give a rest for 3 days. Not worry about it. So that was very powerful for me to already be exposed to things like that were revealing. And my business partner, when we actually started We Equip You, okay, then the technology and intuitive development company, I use the holo viewing technique too. And we've been business partners for more than 10 years today. So when I did it, I was requesting for the right partner to be able to build the mission, right? I know the mission that I'm given as a human being in the professional arena. By the way, whoever is listening to this, it doesn't just apply to business owners or business, because a business is nothing without the team inside. So all the professionals that are working in an organization have to leverage on this, right? So side note, Apple logo, right? But it came from a team member. But today is $1 billion company, but somebody was innovative. Somebody knew how to go to level, to use imagination to bring a solution then to people problem. So my business partner, again, it was holo viewing. And you know how it came? It's so funny when you use holo viewing and you let yourself, you submissive, right? You obedient. That's the challenge, right? So I did the whole thing, and my goal was, okay, you know what? I need to really here's the issue. I don't want to get in business by myself. It never had been the case. I always have business partners because I strongly believe that the more you share the pie, the better you actually the better off you are, right? So that, that's my desire, this. Okay, now I'm looking for this to be able, and it has to be somebody who has a knock, okay, in technology too. And just let it learn. So
Wow.
4 days later, I was parking. I remember, I think it was a networking event or something. And then I was parking again, the three finger technique. It was something that because you so strong desiring, right? You have done the soul desire, with the three finger technique that you mentioned, right? You can actually look for parking and all that. So I find a parking where I was parking at the right time with someone. I will call it someone for now. Okay. Hi, how are you? Okay, that's all. Stop there. We all paid for the parking, and then we walked. We went to the event. Until then, it was just hi, how are you? Good. And then we move on. So it was in the room. I started seeing the signs in a dream that I had 4 days before.
Wow.
And long story short, this man have been my business partner, overseeing 14 people as team members the last 10 years plus.
And you met him at the meeting.
I just met him at the meeting and with a sign in the room. I was like, oh, okay, why didn't I think about this? But the sign started at parking.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love how we invite our students. When you start getting familiar with this technique, take note of your dreams. They're not random. They're not just, whatever. Okay, you didn't sleep well, or maybe it's, no. Take note of some dream because you can refer to that. And the beauty is that it allows you to strengthen your subjective muscles because they're happy too when we can acknowledge, oh, thank you. You showed me this last time. So that's all very quick I wanted to put out there. Holo viewing is very powerful, but just be obedient and you'll see a lot of what people may call miracles.
So a few things well, there's a lot in what you just said. Those of you watching, I hope you listen close. You want to rewatch this because there's a number of takeaways in that. Ashil's reminding me in my 54 plus years now, how many people like him come into the training and they say, I've been doing stuff like this my whole life over the past 10 years. And I didn't talk about it because I didn't want people to think I was weird. And then sometimes they, I'm so happy to find a bunch of other weirdos.
Yeah, those.
People,
Right.
it's one of the benefits of it in a group is you meet like-minded people. And when there's trust, that's when the magic happens. It really is. There's nothing that can come close to in-person events. And there's a lot out there, by the way, of pre-recorded videos. They're very, very condensed overviews. Even Silva International's website is focusing on these videos and some live with the instructor.
Online.
It's not the coursework. It's not the coursework.
Yep.
Synopses and stuff with that, which is a way to introduce people. God bless them. However, you remind me of that. And that's, again, if I go back to Jose Silva, and I feel the same way, is you've got this already. You're far more powerful than you realize. What we can do for you is help you to harness that ability, tap it. And the other thing you mentioned about at night, the Holo viewing, a lot of techniques before you go to sleep, it's called the art of surrender if you study from a spiritual perspective. And that's been around for ages. Metaphysics, spiritual leaders, scripture, all throughout the ages have these principles. Is that my term is there's a big difference between passion and obsession. When Ashil mentioned about that intense desire, very different than obsession. Obsession comes from scarcity consciousness. Obsession comes from fear-based thinking. Obsession doesn't work. It's survival and security, and there's no growth. So part of letting go is you clear what you want, ask good, clear questions, be specific, acknowledge the difficulty, acknowledge the challenge. What is it then that you want, your intention, and start slowly but surely refining your questions is how you work with your intuition. And then because you got to let it go. Like you said, he's laughing and what he did. And here he is now parking his car and meeting some people and he started getting signs. And that's how he met his business partner of all places at this meeting.
Yes.
And he didn't go there intending to meet a business partner. So this surrender, there's a great book on the art of surrender with that and others that I recommend to a lot of people. But anyway, with that, anything, I mean, we could go on and on with the Holo viewing. And
Yes,
you also mentioned about three fingers because often when things get going, if we get stressed and our body gets flooded with stress hormones and we're obsessed, and this is challenging for a lot of people nowadays, entrepreneurs, business people,
yes,
people taking care of their children. If we are not mindfully present to that and on a daily basis, several times a day, releasing the valve, releasing the pressure, our body, the risk is getting flooded with stress hormones. And when that happens, it's the number one reason why you don't get what you want. You go into stress mode, survival mode, and there's no growth there.
that's
So
right.
what we both haven't mentioned is these are all tools we do in a meditative state. We learn how to change our brainwaves into the alpha state. It's the difference that makes the difference. Because Sheila and I do not, and our fellow instructors, it's not an academic. You can read books and so on, and they help, they inspire, but the difference that makes the difference is making it a part of you. And
Yes,
in that, we invite our graduates to review because you don't come back, you know the material, you come back for the integration of it. I like the way you said about removing those roadblocks because we all resist. Resistance is to change is the most common malady, and I will call it a malady on this planet, is people say, oh yeah, we got to change, but nobody likes to change.
no.
So slow.
Yes, and the science is actually also, supporting and showing why change is difficult because when you know the DNA process and all that, nobody, because it takes time for even the DNA to actually record, right? You take a child, the first baby step. Before that first baby step, there were so many other trials before the child actually, and the only one that we celebrate is like that first baby step. So when change comes, there's something about biology that even also is not, bring the resistance that you need to know that it's not something you just need to accept and go on with.
That's a really good point. Excellent. Because that's a big part of the immersion. When you've got an instructor who knows what they're doing, has a level of confidence, they're guiding and helping you to make those baby steps.
Yes.
Think big and you're starting small
No.
so that when you leave after the 4 days, you can just work on your own. Frankly, it's good to get support and it's important to have support. And I just wanted to flash up, and I don't know, did you read this book yet, Ashil? Silver
Business managers, I think I should
He
have
just
this.
happened. He probably has the newer version by Jose
I think I have the new version, the red one.
Stone. Oh, that's the way it was republished by Robert Stone's son, Dennis Stone,
Yes,
because it went off print. This is
yes.
one of my favorite. It's the same book. No,
Okay,
it's one of
okay.
my favorite books because it's all about subjective communication. It's all about harnessing your subjective realities and combining it with logic to enhance what you know, to make better, wiser decisions, to improve conversations, and so on and so forth. And it depends on you. With due respect to our viewers, people who might be watching this, personally, I'm tend to be more conservative. I think this is excellent for people who've been through the training because
Yes,
they give you a lot of applications.
yes.
He was talking about, oh yeah, yeah, I did the KO, I did this. But if you haven't been through the training and you're new to this, there's a good possibility you'll go woo woo,
That's
but it
right.
works. It
That,
works. And you'd be amazed how many business leaders, may I just mention it? For that because in support of where Shield's coming from in this, Vision Lakiana, the CEO founder of Mindval, who I know personally, who used to work very closely with us helping, now he's offering a very small version intro to the program, and
yes.
they're independent with respect to that. T. Harveka, Silva grad. John Assaraf took Silva in around 2008. Brian Tracy took Silva in Canada way back. But I know because I talked to Brian and asked him, and he said yes. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. I mean, it's like a who's who. I'm always surprised. Loretta Swit, now I'm dating myself from MASH. A lot of famous actors, actresses, and not just business leaders, people using this tool because we all have these abilities. It's a matter of harnessing it And I mean, I could go on, I won't anymore, but I couldn't resist that.
Mhm.
I want to watch the time and, and manage that for us. But how about something like, I took some notes before, this idea of meditation and three fingers. And real quick, three fingers is a tool, guys. I'm going to ask him a question. Is no magic to it. It's not a yoga. I mean, it's a yogic technique, but that's not where we're coming from. Radio nerve endings. We simply learn how to lock it in, how to anchor this, associate this trigger, this switch, so to speak, to being in a state of calm. And you do this when there's no pressure, so that we can think more clearly, move more gracefully, and we're more likely to access higher thinking function. So a common challenge that everybody faces today, salespeople, business people, anybody in any aspect of life, is a big, huge to-do list. And you got all these phone calls to make. And I met so many salespeople say, there's no way I can make all these calls. I'd like to, but if I reach them, so they use this three fingers and ask, okay, here's my list. I've got 20 on the list. Who should I call first? And
Mhm.
prioritize it. And then they call that person, and the person says something like, Ashil, I was just thinking about you. It's
That's right.
funny that you should be calling me now. I wanted to talk to you. Then you connected
Yes.
subjective level. Are you finding the same thing? Is that something you're doing with your team or with people, a way to prioritize tasks? Because you only get so much done in one day.
Yes, the three finger technique, and that's another beauty with Jose Silva, work and the techniques, right? You have those ones that require more time, right? And you have those ones that are just quick, like on spot. You don't need to even, So the three finger technique is one of them, and then the clock technique that I use a lot in my business setting, and I'll mention the clock technique. So the three finger technique most of the time is come to me intuitively, like during meetings with the team, meetings with clients, or where you just get this inside voice. You know what this person is saying. There's something not right. So instead of sitting there trying to use the logic and figure it out, are just very quick. And like you said, right, it's not something you need to be in people's faces and put to the. Sometimes I actually go with my right hand because it's my stronger hand, right? So that it have, so I go, oh, okay. So I go with it and, in my pocket, under the table, I have just that. And then because I'm at level, people sometimes eyes open. People sometimes think you're dreaming or you're out of the place, but you're not. You're still listening and figuring out things that you may be missing with your logic. So yes, the three finger technique during meetings with client, meeting with even the team and all that, is a powerful tool because it doesn't require you to do something magnificent or something big or to take like 30 minutes or 20 minutes. No, it's right there in a couple of seconds, no more than maybe 2 minutes. You just, connect, you go to your center, by just putting the three finger. Working internationally, the clock technique is very powerful too because we all
I don't know
know.
what the clock technique is.
Yes.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay. So the cloud technique is very powerful because science is proving to us how waking up in a harsh way, right, with alarm and all that, is not just helping. That's why even in our seminars, right, for each more than 15 techniques that you will learn during 4 days, we have that phase where we actually bring you out because it's always good to come out smoothly. Same thing, then when you're sleeping, it makes no sense to have an alarm waking you up because that's very harsh on the body, on the mind, and then your spiritual or subjective dimension. So the alarm is something, the clock technique, sorry, is something that, business-wise I use because working internationally with 4 hours, 5 hours different, sometimes I go to sleep, but I don't want to, I know intentionally, I don't want to use the alarm. I use the clock technique. Very simple, right? And then I actually wake up either a little bit earlier, but never after the time. And it's just amazing. I don't remember how many years now that I've been never used the alarm. So I wanted just to slide that in as another technique, very quick. Before you go to bed, don't worry about being tired. It doesn't require you that much. You visualize, the time you want to wake up and all that. But during the immersion, we take you through the process on how to do it the proper way. But not long. Even if you feel so tired, a couple of seconds, you go to bed, and you will be surprised how the brain, your alpha level, because right at the time to go to sleep, we all know that science is proving that we are already in alpha. That's why nobody, I'm tracking my sleep with an app. It takes me maximum 5 minutes to fall asleep. In 5 minutes, I go to bed. I already, I'm gone. So the cloud technique, is one that I will add as a quick technique to use beside the three finger.
Yeah. By the way, I digressed while you were talking mentally because I saw what you were wearing,
Yes.
and I don't usually wear things like this. I had an accident
Yes.
recently, pretty serious, and one of our nieces sent me this
Yes.
about healing and so on. Plus, I like Tiger's Eye, and
Yes.
I wear it more because I thought that was so sweet and so caring of them to do that. Much like this, my daughter, another situation, sent this to
Yes.
as a gift, and I'm
Yes. I've been, we're not going to digress, but I've been always a fan. I don't remember when actually I put a tie, but necklace are a reminder for me that, by ourselves, we teach this too in the source, the droplet, right? By ourselves, we're nothing. But if, as human, we actually are very strong in coming together, right? We'll see how much we can realize, right? And nature actually teaches us that too. You take water, you take the ocean, one droplet is nothing, but many droplets put together is just a powerful thing. Same thing with necklace. That's the history. That's the analogy behind, and it's a reminder, right? You go through tough time, you just remember that I need other people to be able to move forward. So,
well, thank you. I never heard it put that way about that, the symbology.
yes,
I really appreciate that. But here's an example. He's talking about three fingers and getting ideas. So there's a very specific curriculum in the Silva course. But how he presents it, how I explain it, how Amy explains it varies, of course. And I'm notorious after all these years because I have such a reservoir of knowledge and wisdom. I digress. But often it's really not a digression. It's appropriate. Somebody says, I'm so glad you brought that up with respect to that. And this ties in, there's something we call the droplet of source energy in the class. It's like Silva went a little more spiritual. And the message is you're not alone. You're a small part of something more. And when you're in alignment with source, the universe, God, however you want to put it, that's when things happen. And the three fingers are also symbolic of that. That's funny. I use this every time. Like now, I'm sitting here like this. When I
yes,
give a class, and I study. I know what I want to teach, but you come up with ideas. You remember things that's filed away in the subconscious.
yes,
You also mentioned dream control. We're teaching you guys, people, how to put your subconscious to work while you're sleeping because it's all there. It's recorded everything, but it's not possible for anybody, in fact, it would be too much, to remember all the details from as far back. So we use this as a way to access knowledge and to facilitate that flow. And golly, we could go on and on.
yes.
Oh, by the way,
That's why they need to come to the 4 days, because then you experience the immersion, right? And in deep, right? You learn those techniques and all that in deep. So 40 hours for 4 days, 10 hours a day. So it tells you how much you will be taking, when you actually take time to come to the immersion. And every time I have students in the room, you know what? I don't know why I spend my time just reading the book. This actually is the solution. I made it much better than spending 10 years reading the book. Many of the students, they will always actually confide, and I'm sure that other instructor will actually testify to this, because again, the 4 days setup is on purpose to help you actually live after the 4 days totally changed, totally transformed. So
uh, I'm watching your face light up. I'm really enjoying getting to know you better. I mean, I do know, by the way, he's been in certification with me in the class, but we have our own respective businesses because your face, you're like lit up with that. And I love doing this work too. And I so appreciate the opportunity that people afford me doing that. And what he just said about, the instructors like to talk because we've got so many stories and examples of how you can use it. And I would say this, it's not a quick fix. And I
Nope.
would say that probably the best investment you'll ever make in your life is by attending live in person with a certified instructor. And we stand behind that. We guarantee that as long as you go from the beginning to the end with that. And as long as you're willing to spend 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. It's not a quick fix. It's not magic. It's a matter of you harnessing your own ability. Even the clock technique that Achille loves to keep on time with work and so on. It's it's not, we can all tell time without watches and so on, but it's a point of self-sufficiency, interdependence, rather than being dependent on things outside of you. Because the more dependent we are on things outside of us, the more reliant we are on that. It's about self-reliance, it's about self-sufficiency with respect. And I would like to add, if you may mind, because you went into this and saying that, is we have a long history since 1966. I'm the senior guy. There's nobody on the planet who has my level of experience, not even family members, because Mr. Silva's gone. And, they were young kids, at the time and so on. And they're beautiful people, love them dearly with that. But the point is, I would say very openly and admit is and very transparent. We've had ups and downs in the organization. We're an old brand. We've had, like everybody else, human beings, challenges, and we've made mistakes. And one of them was way back when, because things were not going well, Jose gave permission to instructors, somebody who happened to be the top producer at the time, to do it in 2 days, squeeze it in, add a few hours, go late. Oh my God, it was so intense. I did it. I was able to as an experienced instructor, but any new instructors couldn't. And as time went along, there was a period of, we realized it was a big mistake. Jose had passed away. It's 40 hours. Even Jose's research, what we overlooked in that was showed it takes the 40 hours of training and the guided meditations. It's not the sequence of what we're doing. It's getting in the time with the guided meditations because not everybody responds the same. So my friends, if you're sincere about wanting the real deal, the coursework, it's not 2.5 days. It's not 3 days. It's not 12 hours of pre-recorded videos. That will get you started. That will introduce you. The books are great. Some people get that and love it and get good value. Absolutely. But if you're interested in the real deal, it's 4 days, 40 hours. It can be spread out over weekends. When I started as the youngest instructor on the planet, we did evenings and a weekend to accommodate people. But all the research shows, even in neuroscience, that 4 days of concentrated meditation, like on a retreat, get your best results. And it's interesting. That's how Jose designed it way back when. And that's why I mentor our instructors and encourage 4 days in a row is the ideal to maximize the benefit, even though you have to take a sick day or work day or vacation day or whatever.
Mhm.
But I couldn't resist because I thank you, Ashio, for letting me to say that. I feel responsible to the public we serve to guide them because admittedly it's confusing there, and there've been a lot of copycats and a lot of creative adaptations,
Yes.
and we all hear this all the time from people.
Yes.
Just know it's beyond our control. All I can do is be straight with you, be transparent. I'm happy to have a conversation. I offer my classes regularly in Connecticut for all of New England and Chicago area. I travel to do the Silva Mastery. It's the official graduate program in addition to Ultra for that. And my website is silvamethodct.com. How about you, Ashil? Please tell them how to find you. Where are you focusing your classes?
Uh, for now, North Carolina and Carolina. And I'll be going also once a year for from next year uh, on the continent, of Africa, where I think the tool is needed. I always have been connected to Latin America because when we were in high school, we already learned that that part of West Africa side it was, whatever, right? The
We
lens
connected at one
separated.
time.
And I can see that we have same culture when it comes to food, when it comes to beliefs and all that. We have actually some similarities, right, in our culture, which again was an element of connection with Jose Silva. So Silva Method Bank.com. I didn't get the chance to explain why bank, but there's the whole story. It was also received through my counseling session, my subjective counseling session, right? So it's Hope Bank Academy doing business as we equip you. And again, we are a technology company. So I would like to add this piece. The reason why for so many years I choose to really work on actually bringing technology and the intuitive part of us is actually more alarming nowadays with AI. And I think the way technology is progressing, there is nothing wrong about technology. It's a tool. The problem is not the technology, it will be the people. And I think this is more than ever the time to help actually individual to tap into the unique force that technology will take maybe generation. I'm not going to say never. It will take generation and maybe complicated, right, for technology to be intuitive. Let's not see intuitive technology thinking that technology has the intuitive part of who we are as human beings. Until somebody will prove me that the same technology or the same tools, right, need also to breathe, because there's a power in us having the ability to inhale, exhale. It's only beings that do that. So I think nowadays, if we don't be careful, technology can destroy so many lives. And there are studies that are also showing how even the lights coming from the devices we're using, how we're becoming totally, I will use the left and prison here, right, with technology. If we don't be careful and allow individual with all the work that we're doing with the Silva techniques around the world to help people know when to really stay away from technology and tap into that dimension that technology is not able to do. And we use this with our developers, we use this with our engineers, because at the end of the day, that's one powerful strength that human being has. That's the unique strength. Because the logic, yes, technology will do that. Today, they actually think faster than us. Emotional, yes, that's why I was never too much. We need that, don't get me wrong. The emotional intelligence and all that. Now, even with the AI, they're actually simulating that with large machine learning data. But intuition is something that even technology will not be able to take, because it's reserved to us as human beings, and these techniques allow you to develop that. So I wanted to just bring that aspect, with where we are today in this era of digitalization.
Oh, very well put. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for those parting thoughts. I concur and think also what the missing piece is when all the research shows meditating, which is part of our practice, we call it dynamic meditation, you're boosting your immune system. And
Right?
that is what keeps us in homeostasis. That's what helps us to stay healthy, because technology is like a freight train, just keeps going. And
Yes.
Bruce Lipton say this similarly, the best thing we all each need to do is to take care of ourselves, I'm babysitting my son's dog, and he's over here wanting me to some attention.
Need attention, because maybe the dog actually want us to talk about the meditation, where actually we go to different kingdom, and even with the animal kingdom. So just let him know that we'll talk about that later on.
I
In a
think what
different,
he wants is he wants his food dinner time. It's
right?
a little bit early, but he's always ahead of time
Yes.
for that. But anyway, that's my point, my friends. If you do Silva, that'd be great. We invite you to, but do have at least a meditation daily practice, because that's how you stay in homeostasis balance, and that's how your body repairs itself. Make
Yes.
sure you're getting at least minimum 7.5 hours of sleep to 9 each and every night, because the body restores itself in sleep, especially in delta or what's called slow wave sleep for that.
That's
So
right. That's right.
This has been great. We got to do this again, and we will with
Sure.
other instructors. And for those of you watching, I've been doing this with several of the instructors, and there are a few more yet to come. And then we'll come full circle and maybe pick another topic together that we can share. And
That's wonderful. And will bring instructor also closer, with all the effort that you're putting in, okay?
that's what we're doing. We're collaborating together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I would say, if you're still here watching to the very end of the video, we've gone a little past an hour. That says a lot about you. I
That's right.
appreciate you. It takes showing up and following through.
True.
Not a quick fix, but if you're willing to put in the time, not a whole lot, and follow through, you'll be thrilled with that. So again, it's our pleasure. Look forward for more. And if I may, Ashil, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ken, for having me. And to all of you, practice, make progress, okay? Just keep progressing, but you have to practice. So I'll see you in a different session.
All righty, and I'm going to say so long.